time. I want you to cast your mind back to the last time that you had a coffee experience that was exactly as the barista described. Now, we all know how good moments like this feel. The reason why they feel so good is because of trust. Every time we create an expectation, we're making a promise. When we deliver upon the expectation, we're keeping that promise. This builds trust in any relationship. Now, I know you all love specialty coffee, and if we want to see this industry thrive, we need trust. Trust allows us to connect specialty coffee to the cafe customer, and if we want to keep them there, we need them to be engaged, learning and understanding more about coffee quality. In order for a customer to really appreciate coffee quality, there needs to be an understanding of the decisions made by the barista and how these reflect the passion and the hard work of both producer, roaster, and how this all translates to the final experience in the cup. Now, over the past months leading up until this routine, I've explored every variable I can imagine, and the decisions I've made will be the focus of the next 15 minutes. Now, all the key information is on the placemats in front of you, so sit back, relax, and let's get into it. Starting with the coffee. For all 3 courses, you'll be drinking an anaerobic natural sidra produced by Nestor Lasso on his farm, El Diviso, in the region of Huila, Colombia. Now today, I'll be highlighting 4 key decisions, 2 represented on the signature drink box to your right, and 2 on the signature drink box to your left. My goal in sharing these decisions and their impact is building layers of trust. Together, over the next 15 minutes, we'll be building layers of your signature drink, linking the key decisions made to the ingredients used and the flavors you'll experience in the cup. Now, purposefully split the drink into 2 components because we'll be highlighting different elements of El Diviso and we'll bring them together later on at the end. Now, just as I'm asking you to trust in me, I've specifically chosen to work with Nestor because I trust in him, his experience as a producer, and the decisions that he's made that have better allowed me to deliver upon my promise to you of what you'll experience in each course. So our first key decision was Nestor's, to ferment this coffee for 80 hours anaerobically. This led to higher concentrations of organic acids, bigger, definable flavors, which I find directly improves the accuracy of flavor for your espresso course. So I'll get you to please slide down to the signature drink section of the score sheet because we're going to be representing this decision by adding 5 grams of lacto-fermented passion fruit. Now, I prepared this by combining 1 part passion fruit with 1% salt and fermenting at room temperature for 5 days. I chose passion fruit because it has a vibrant citric acidity that pairs really well with El Diviso, and in your signature course, this will create a new flavor note of plum, if you'll please write that down. Now, turning your attention to the espresso course. In your espresso, you'll be tasting flavor notes of blackberry, cherry, and red wine. The tactile will be a medium weight. It'll have a juicy texture and a long, lingering red wine tannin finish. Now, flavor calls are a key component of trust. If something were to happen with my extraction, the experience wouldn't match the expectations. So to ensure that I can deliver upon my promises today, I chose the Weiss distribution technique. So the needles of this Weiss tool are spaced so they cover the entire surface area of the basket with 1 spin of this handle. Now, with multiple spins, the grinds distribute themselves evenly from top to bottom and side to side. All of this leads to a more even and dependable extraction so that I know that that flavor note of blackberry is both in the espresso and it tastes really good. So please slide down to the signature drink section of your score sheet once again, because we're going to represent this decision by adding 5 grams of Colombian honey, produced by the bees on the farm. Now I chose this honey because it has a complexity that reminds me of El Diviso, and in your signature drink, that's going to create a flavor note of sultana, which you might also know as golden raisin. Now on the placemat in front of you, you'll see a purple aromatic disc. When I serve you the espresso, I'll ask you to please assess the crema and place the disc directly on top of the cup. We're going to let your espresso cool to 50 degrees, which will really highlight that flavor note of blackberry. And in the meantime, the aroma disc is going to capture all of those volatile aromatics, giving more prominence to the flavor notes I've just given you. Now, whilst these are extracting, let's introduce our third key decision. In order to refine those beautiful red wine tannins that you're about to experience, my roaster and I finished the roast at an end temperature just 2 degrees higher than first crack. This resulted in lighter external colors, and from here, we extended the post-first crack development to 24%, ensuring solubility and sweetness. So just assessing the crema and placing that purple disc on top. Thank you. There we go. Cheers. Here we go. Thanks. Now I'll get you to slide down to the signature drink section of the score sheet once again, because we're going to add complexity to those tannins that we've highlighted through this decision by adding 5 grams of cold brewed hibiscus tea. Now I prepared this by combining 1 part hibiscus with 15 parts water and brewing for 12 hours at 4 degrees. I chose hibiscus because it has wine-like tannins reminiscent of your espresso, and in your signature drink, that's going to create a flavor note of cranberry. Now in a moment, I'll ask you to enjoy your espresso. When I do, please place the aroma disc to the side of the cup, stir, placing your spoons in the silver cup, and enjoy across 2 sips. So go ahead and enjoy. So now, we're going to move on to your milk course. So I'll get you to please write this down. In your milk course, you'll experience flavor notes of cherry, butterscotch, and chocolate mousse. There you go. So now I'd like to share with you some of the decisions that I've made to deliver upon those descriptors through milk. Now, after a lot of fine tuning, I found that by steaming the milk to 55 degrees and serving it at 50 degrees in the cup, we're going to really highlight that flavor note of cherry. And now, I am so excited to introduce to all of you the 4th key decision, milk cryodesiccation. So how it works is I placed frozen milk into a chamber, I reduced the pressure, creating a vacuum, while supplying a gentle heat over the course of 24 hours. Now this combination of lower pressure and heat caused the frozen water in that milk to turn directly into a vapor, leaving behind a powder of milk concentrated by 900%. So I've left some of that in front of each of you if you'd like to have a look. Enjoy. From here, I've recombined 30 grams of that powder with 300 grams of the original milk I froze. This doubled the concentration of sugars, fats, and proteins in the milk, directly improving the taste experience and the texture of the drink, whilst lifting up those beautiful qualities of El Diviso. All right, enjoy. Now I found this was best expressed in an extraction of 22.5 grams in, 38 grams out, in 28 seconds. And I've combined this with 90 grams of this delicious cryo-desiccated milk. All yours. Enjoy. Thank you. Now, as you may have noticed, I've been leaving these extractions to cool throughout the routine. I've done this because it highlights the acidity in El Diviso, really helping lift up that beautiful flavor note of cherry that you're about to taste. Perfect. Enjoy. There you go. So inspired by the concentration of flavor and texture that we achieved through cryo-desiccating the milk, please slide down to the signature drink section of your score sheet once more, because we're going to represent this by adding 5 grams of cryo-desiccated date syrup. Now I prepared this syrup by combining 1 part date with 1 part water and sous vide for 3 hours at 60 degrees to highlight the natural flavor of this ingredient. Similar to your milk blend, I've then cryo-desiccated that syrup, doubling the concentration of flavor and intensity. This is going to create a flavor note of sweet toffee in your signature course. And now, let's move on to your signature drink. So my goal today was to build trust through the key decisions I've made to deliver upon my descriptors in each course. Today, we've introduced 4 of those decisions, inspired by them 4 ingredients that have led to the 4 flavor notes I've just given you of plum, sultana, cranberry, and sweet toffee. Now this is all represented on the placemat in front of you. Now here, I've got 1 double espresso of the milk extraction, the cryo-desiccated date syrup, and the cold brewed hibiscus tea. I've nitrogen flushed it and held it on a hot water bath, and this is going to highlight a nectar-like texture in this drink, if you please write that down. Now over here, we've got 1 double espresso of the espresso extraction. We've got the lacto-fermented passion fruit and the Colombian honey. Now I've been using this magnetic stirrer to mix the ingredients whilst heating and aerating the drink. This is going to highlight sweetness and articulation in your signature drink. Now, just like your espresso course, I'll be serving this drink at a temperature of 50 degrees with an aromatic disc to capture the aromatics, giving more prominence to the flavor notes I've just given you. I'll ask you to wait until I call time before assessing the drink, and when I do, please remove the disc, swirl for 3 seconds, and enjoy across 3 sips. Now, as I said at the beginning, every cup of coffee we make is a promise. All my experience in this industry means nothing if I don't use it to create trust and connect with people. So I really hope that you all feel I've delivered upon my promises today and created a level of trust that has brought the 5 of us closer together, because moments like this right here are so important for the progression of this amazing industry that we are all a part of. So please, please enjoy time.